A quiet but significant diplomatic breakthrough between Thailand and China has unfolded, largely away from the public eye. This development has sparked new hope for Uyghur asylum seekers, many of whom have spent years trapped in Thai detention centers, uncertain of their fate and separated from loved ones. In late 2024, after months of negotiations, Beijing agreed to a Thai proposal allowing the UNHCR to independently assess Uyghur asylum claims, an unprecedented shift in regional policy that could have far-reaching consequences. Thailand now pledges to provide temporary shelter, basic necessities and legal support while each case is carefully reviewed, aiming to halt the practice of forced returns to China without a fair and transparent assessment. This agreement not only recognizes the legitimacy of Uyghur fears of persecution, but also offers a genuine chance for resettlement in third countries, giving families hope for a safer future. Years of tireless advocacy by human rights groups, legal experts, and behind-the-scenes diplomacy have finally yielded a policy that puts humanitarian principles and international law at the forefront. The involvement of the UNHCR introduces vital international oversight, ensuring that the process is transparent and fair, and raising hopes for a more humane and just outcome for those seeking refuge. For Uyghurs and their supporters, this is a long-awaited turning point, one that could set a new standard for refugee protection in the region and inspire similar actions elsewhere. The world is watching closely to see if this promise of safety, dignity, and due process will truly be fulfilled, and whether it will mark the beginning of a more compassionate era for refugees everywhere. To truly grasp the weight and significance of this new deal, we must look back to a dark chapter in recent history, 2015. When Thailand forcibly returned over 100 Uyghurs to China, an act that sent shockwaves through the international community and sparked global outrage. The world watched in horror as images emerged of terrified detainees, some with their heads covered, being led onto planes by armed guards. These haunting scenes quickly became symbols of a grave violation of international law and human rights. Protests erupted in cities around the globe, and human rights organizations condemned Thailand's actions. The fate of those sent back to China remains shrouded in fear and uncertainty, with many families left in anguish, desperate for any news of their loved ones. For years, Uyghurs fleeing persecution in Xinjiang risked everything, leaving behind their homes and families, only to be detained in Thailand, trapped in overcrowded facilities, and used as diplomatic pawns in a tense international standoff. The trauma of 2015 has haunted those left behind. Many have spent years living in limbo, their futures uncertain, haunted by the fear that they too could be sent back at any moment. This new agreement between Thailand and international partners is more than just a policy shift. It's an attempt to right a historic wrong, restore trust, and show the world that lessons have been learned. For the survivors still in detention, this moment brings a glimmer of hope. They dare to believe that their lives may finally be valued, and that they are no longer mere bargaining chips in a geopolitical game. Thailand's move signals a break from the painful past and a step toward genuine humanitarian responsibility, offering a chance for healing and new beginnings. Now the world will be watching closely. The true test of this deal will be whether it truly protects those most at risk, and whether it can finally bring justice and safety to the Uyghur refugees who have suffered for so long. China's acceptance of this arrangement marks a notable shift in its diplomatic approach, signaling a willingness to engage with international norms in a way that was previously unthinkable. Traditionally, Beijing has maintained a hardline stance on Uyghur repatriation, insisting on absolute control and rejecting outside involvement. For years, the Chinese government pressured neighboring countries to forcibly return Uyghur refugees, often labeling them as security threats or extremists, frequently without providing credible evidence to support these claims. Now this new move appears to be a calculated effort by China to soften its international image and reduce diplomatic friction, particularly with Thailand, a key regional partner. By allowing limited UN oversight, China incurs minimal risk, but stands to gain significant goodwill, making it easier to manage sensitive relationships across the region, and present itself as a more cooperative global player. This gesture also allows Beijing to contrast itself with the United States, projecting an image of flexibility and openness as the competition for influence in Southeast Asia becomes increasingly fierce. However, it's important to recognize that this is a tactical adjustment rather than a fundamental change in China's core policy toward Uyghurs and the Xinjiang region. Human rights organizations remain deeply skeptical, pointing out that repression and surveillance in Xinjiang continue, and that the underlying issues have not been addressed. While the deal may be more about optics than genuine reform, it does create a rare opportunity for international scrutiny and dialogue, which could be a first step toward greater transparency. The real challenge now is to ensure that this opening is used to secure meaningful protection for Uyghur refugees, rather than simply providing diplomatic cover for ongoing abuses. The new China-Thailand deal has sparked cautious optimism among international organizations and Western governments. The UNHCR welcomed the agreement, ready to help ensure fair asylum assessments. Human rights groups, while hopeful, stress that success depends on transparency and true independence from political pressure. Western governments, including the US and EU, see this as a positive step and urge Thailand to uphold its commitments. This international attention raises the stakes, making it harder for either Thailand or China to backtrack. The world's relief is mixed with expectation. Implementation is everything. The real test will be whether detainees receive fair hearings and genuine protection. For now, the spotlight is on Thailand to deliver on its promises. This refugee deal highlights Thailand's delicate balancing act between the US and China. The US remains a key ally, but China is Thailand's top trading partner and a growing military collaborator. By involving the UNHCR, Thailand reassures the West of its commitment to human rights even as it deepens ties with Beijing. Securing China's agreement on this sensitive issue is a diplomatic win, showing Thailand can negotiate without capitulating. This move strengthens Thailand's standing in ASEAN and demonstrates its diplomatic agility. Yet, as US-China rivalry intensifies, Thailand's room for maneuver is shrinking. Every major policy decision is now scrutinized through the lens of great power competition. Thailand's ability to maintain this balance will define its foreign policy future. Amid the diplomacy, it's vital to remember the Uyghur families still living in Thai detention. For years they've endured overcrowding, poor conditions, and constant fear of forced return. Many children have grown up knowing only confinement, while adults struggle with trauma and uncertainty. The new agreement offers the first real hope in years, a chance for their stories to be heard and their cases fairly reviewed. For detainees, this is more than policy. It's a lifeline to safety, dignity, and a future beyond detention. Yet the scars of lost years and broken families will linger. True success will depend on resettlement and support for healing and integration. Their journey isn't over, but for the first time, there's a path forward. The world owes them more than hope. It owes them action. This deal could set a precedent for Southeast Asia, where many countries face similar pressures from China over refugees. If successful, Thailand's approach may inspire others to balance humanitarian principles with regional diplomacy. Yet, challenges remain. China could still exert behind-the-scenes pressure, and resettlement depends on international cooperation. Delays or failures could leave refugees in limbo, undermining the deal's promise. Thailand's pragmatic diplomacy shows that regional actors can push back, even as they deepen ties with China. The agreement hints at a more complex, multi-aligned future for Southeast Asia, not just a binary choice between the US and China. The world will watch to see if this fragile hope for Uyghurs becomes a catalyst for broader change. Ultimately, the true measure will be whether promises made translate into real safety and freedom for those who need it most.